how did Pete Carroll become the head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, Mike?
This one is just fascinating on so many different levels.
Sure is.
Mark Davis yesterday, talking to reporters after the press conference, had introduced Pete Carroll. And props to Pete Carroll for realizing you don't need to wear a suit and tie to an introductory coaching press conference. You never wear a suit and tie again as a head coach of a team. You don't wear it on the sidelines. You don't wear it anywhere. He's the only one in this cycle that has deviated from the suit and tie uniform, and I congratulate him for that. But Davis said that they pivoted to Carroll after another candidate took a different job, which means Ben Johnson. And then he said he didn't make an offer to Ben Johnson. Well, he couldn't make an offer to Ben Johnson because they were playing until last Saturday night, and he made a beeline for the Bears immediately after the Lions season was over. So enter Pete Carroll. When you look at the candidates they'd spoken to, Carroll was far and away the most accomplished, the most seasoned, the most ready to come in and turn this thing around. But where it gets awkward, Rich, when Mark Davis says that Tom Brady is now the guy to provide stability, and they haven't had that since, and to use Davis's words, John Gruden had his head chopped off. If I'm Pete Carroll, I'm like, well, what am I in this? I've been coaching football longer than Brady's been alive. I've won a Super Bowl as a coach. Why is Brady all of a sudden the voice that brings balance to the silver and the black, that stabilizes the organization? So you got some weird dynamics that are going to be awkward, to say the least, because if Carroll is saying something to Davis and Brady is saying something different, and Davis listens to Brady instead of the guy who's there every single day, and not the guy who can't even go to the games because his primary job creates a conflict almost every day the Raiders play, it's going to get awkward, it's going to get weird, and it's going to take some delicate navigation by Brady, by Davis, and by Carroll.
Well, I mean, was Belichick ever in play over the last few weeks? Because I'm assuming he's not in line for the Saints job. That ain't happening. So Belichick is going to be week one on the sidelines of University of North Carolina football. So was he ever really, truly in play over the last few weeks?
Well, first of all,
Mike?
Rich, I don't think it was a coincidence that he signs his contract with North Carolina once it's clear that there's no avenue back to the NFL this year. Even though he could still come back, the $10 million buyout is firm now. Before he signs the contract, the term sheet clearly said this is not a binding agreement. He could have, in theory, left Chapel Hill without the Tar Heels getting a single penny in the form of a buyout. But what came out a couple of weeks ago, the report that Brady had spoken to Belichick and that the Raiders and other teams had reached out to see whether or not Belichick was committed to staying in college football, I think, and I kind of know, that was a favor to Belichick at Belichick's request, because Belichick was never going to be hired by Brady. And it's a somewhat delicious irony that the 70-something Super Bowl winning head coach who ends up a year after being fired coaching the Raiders isn't Bill Belichick, but Pete Carroll.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.